John Macmillan Presbyterian Church began its ministry and mission in the South Hills of Pittsburgh in 1965. The church was planted to serve a part of the southwestern Pennsylvania community that did not have what was then considered a local Presbyterian church. Our church's success in gathering people together into a community of faith is evidenced by our activity in the world locally, regionally, and internationally. Our message that we are to know, glorify, and serve God has been a beacon of light from the top of this hill. Virtually all of this has happened through Sunday worship in our sanctuary, a few outreach events, and word of mouth. It's a pretty remarkable story. Now we are 55 years out, and the world has changed. Sunday morning is not reserved for church. People have more personal free time choices than ever before, which reduce interest in church activity and outreach. Word of mouth has been replaced by social media. What it means to be local has changed. For John Macmillan Presbyterian Church to continue in its mission and ministry, we need to recognize the new reality of modern communication and message presentation require us to change the way we do things. Local is now whoever wants to log in to an online event. And effective communication means, well, visuals. That is why we are embarking on an upgrade to our online presence and more meaningful worship with screens in our sanctuary. A camera will be placed that will bring the eyes of the world into the sanctuary, and the screens will allow us to communicate in a language to all and format that has taken hold in the 21st century. We have not worshiped in our sanctuary since March 15th. We had around 140 people in the sanctuary that day, which is about what we have come to expect. The next week, we were online and have continued online through Lent, Easter, Pentecost, and now ordinary time, though I cannot think of anything ordinary about it right now. Since we have gone online, our worship services have been viewed by an average of 300 plus people. Our Easter service was viewed by 3 times that number. What encourages me about these numbers is that there are more people who want to worship with us than we can actually fit in the sanctuary, but who, for whatever reason, don't come to the sanctuary to worship. Some might want to tell these folks just to get to church, but that is what they are actually doing when they watch online. It is a new way for some, and that encourages me. So we're going to show you what getting connected looks like at John Macmillan Presbyterian Church in 2020. Some of the topics that we have been looking at over time include sanctuary media monitors and screens, sanctuary video streaming, and how we are going to fund these things and how we are going to operate these things. Sanctuary media and monitor screens are something that were proposed by the Worship the Way ministry team that looked into many different ways in which we could enhance our worship experience here at the church. Some of the things that have already been done are tweaking the bulletin. We have surveyed the congregation to see what people want to hear preached. This was also an opportunity to visit other churches and see what they were doing with their worship services. And there was an investigation on how to use visual media during a worship service. The rationale for screens in the sanctuary are many. Everything from eliminating the need for books, hymnals, Bibles, and bulletins, to allowing illustrations of the pastor's messages to give better visually engaging messages to the listener, to drawing our faces upward so that we are participating more intimately with each other during. Actually, we have found that using screens increases worship participation because people don't lose their place and fumble around with papers and books. And also, screens can be used to share announcements on a rotating basis, both before and after the worship service, and can allow us to show off some of the things that we do in mission and ministry with pictures that can be seen by everyone in the sanctuary. In addition, media screens appeal to older members, believe it or not, because they are actually easier for them to see and read. We also can cut paper costs, and we can help enhance other ministries in the church, such as VBS, Kids Club, and Youth Group, by using the screens in the sanctuary. We can also share information at congregational meetings that might be important in making the important decisions we make in our mission and ministry. So what do we have planned? Well, there will be 3 media monitors, two of which will look like this. They will be in the front of the church, and they will not take away from any of the unique architectural aspects of our sanctuary. They will be easily seen by members of the congregation, but there will also be a third monitor which will be above the choir room, which can be seen by the people who are leading worships, which include the pastors, the liturgists, and the choir. There will be video streaming from the sanctuary, which will be similar to what we are doing on Facebook Live, but will be much greater in terms of its effect. There will be one camera in the back of the sanctuary that no one will be able to see. And that camera will be operated from a laptop computer, which will also be part of the system that we will be purchasing. It will demonstrate, or it will show the pulpit and the lectern and the choir, so that something going on in the front of the church will be easily visible to those who are watching online. And the purpose is to maintain our social media presence. One of the things that I have learned over the last couple of months is that most of the churches in our presbytery, and frankly, most of the churches around the country, are now using video worship services that are sent out online so that people can participate from their homes or wherever they might find themselves. And this has grown to such an extent that most of the people who look into these things are saying that you discontinue this at your own peril. And so we want to make sure that we have worship services both inside our sanctuary and online. This will strengthen our community. It will allow people to worship on their schedule as opposed to our schedule. And it will also demonstrate our desire to the community surrounding us to have people worship Sundays or whenever they can see it online. The goal, of course, is to minimize aesthetic impact, to make the system easy to learn and run, to simplify the use of microphones, to reduce our reliance on Wi-Fi, and to have compatibility with the new sanctuary media screens. And so all of this required us to go out and get estimates for the purchase of an entire. The camera will be in the back, as I said before. It will look like this, and it will be operated from the computer. The video streaming will be with that one camera. We are also adding an Ethernet cable so that we can not have to rely on Wi-Fi, which is iffy from time to time. And it will also allow us to stream using the current mics that we have now, which saves us a bit of money in the system. So there are other topics that we need to talk about. One is funding. And first of all, you need to understand that the church can afford this equipment because of the generosity of the congregation during this pandemic, and because of other savings we have made over the course of the last few years, and because of the generosity of the congregation generally over our last couple of stewardship campaigns. But in 2015, you might recall that we celebrated our 50-year anniversary as a church here in Bethel Park. And one of the things we did to celebrate that anniversary was to add new chancel furniture. And that furniture enhanced our worship experience by creating a beautiful new setting in which to experience God's presence in our lives. That furniture was a gift from one particular family in the church, and we thank them for that. But now we are doing something new again. After 55 years, we are enhancing our worship experience by adding the equipment I just described. Session has authorized the purchase and installation of the new equipment, and while we can currently afford it, as I said, Session hopes that there are those in the congregation who might want to contribute to the cost with a free will offering. If you are interested in doing that, please let me know. You can contact me at your convenience and we can discuss that, and we can talk about the best way to provide that kind of funding. You also need to know that people to actually operate the equipment. And so we are looking for several volunteers who would be willing to learn and run the live streaming media screens as part of their service to John McMillan Presbyterian Church. So if you're interested in doing that, that's another way that you can contribute to the enhanced and expanded worship experience here at John McMillan Presbyterian Church. I ask you to consider these things. I also thank you for reviewing this PowerPoint presentation demonstrating what we intend to do. And may the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all.